Ladies and gentlemen, it is a lovely Saturday afternoon over here. It is April, it is 2022, and it is Fortnite All Stars. I am so excited to be here this afternoon. Joined alongside me as your host, Thendoplays, is Ira OG and as a proxy. Guys, before we get into the brunt of stuff, I just want to ask you guys how you guys are feeling, how you guys are doing today.
I am
Pretty
very
good,
much
pretty good.
excited. Yep, very much
That's good
excited
to
on my
hear.
end.
That's good to hear that you guys are feeling excited. I'm excited. First time at the helm of Fortnite, so this is going to be quite interesting. I was watching the playoffs that was happening, and those playoffs wouldn't be here, guys, without incredible connection, All Star Gaming, and of course our other sponsor, Asus ROG. I mean, look. Incredible Connection is doing an absolute madness. They are swooping the nation and creating opportunities for South Africans like you, like myself, to compete in these kind of events where there is high caliber action and you can get a lot of experience. Them and Asus ROG are also just at the helm of providing some of the highest quality equipment across the nation over on Incredible Connections 70 nationwide stores, and of course they are online at incredibleconnection.co.za. I've used Incredible Connection online before, and I mean, great delivery service as well. Everything came in and I had a good time about it. It was actually a gift for my girlfriend. It was a nice little mouse. And I mean, guys, speaking of gifts, speaking of prizes, today there's a lot to play for, right? Iro, you can talk about it. I mean, for some of these players, this is going to be a big moment for them.
No, this is probably going to be one of the biggest wins for a lot of people. I mean, if that is also if they do win the tournament, but yeah, we haven't had 100,000 rand open to the public. This is the first time, if I'm not mistaken, that it actually comes into play. So it is going to be massive for the Fortnite community, and I'm forever grateful as a pioneer in the Fortnite community. I'm always grateful for when such situations actually happen for the esports scene in South Africa, especially when it comes to Fortnite. So yeah, 100,000 rand at play, and I can tell you some of these guys are going to be playing their level best, and there's a lot of pressure. It is 4 games to win the entire tournament. So yeah, one mistake and a lot of emotions are going to be involved over there. But I'm hoping that these players keep up to par.
Yeah, definitely. It is all about keeping up to par. And I mean, guys, first place is walking away with a 40,000 Rand, second place, 30,000, third place, 20, fourth place, 10. I mean, that is a lot of money. This is, of course, going to be a duos tournament here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 48 duos that are getting lined up in the lobby about to drop out of the battle bus. And I mean, as you were there during the playoffs, what did you see that interested you, especially in some of these drop spots? There's some places that some teams should not be contesting today because they might be at the helm of some of the very best. And some of those very best I can mention have to be like the likes of Goliath Gaming, right? Who were top of, I believe, group 2 in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we also saw Lobby 1 going absolutely a little bit crazy there towards Command Cavern. Again, a few job sites were a little bit contested. We did see a few rotations coming through as well, leading to even more contention. And as the storm got closer and closer and closer, we really did see, I think, a bit of a different shift in mentality between our two groups. I mean, Group 1, a little bit more focused on those placements, staying alive, getting the points they needed to qualify for finals, and then Group 2 was just absolutely crazy there with Goliath Gaming. They were so incredibly active to get those eliminations. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to change today, because we know from qualifiers up until the finals, it's a very different set of mentality that they need to bring in. So definitely a couple places we're going to be checking out to see if we're going to see those hot off-strop fights going on. But hopefully we're going to see a lot of the teams really just hunker down and make sure they stay alive.
Yep,
Yeah, it's
definitely.
definitely. It's all about hunkering down and staying alive, right? And a big topic that you were talking about, Iro, coming out of playoffs, right, is that the play style is a little different, isn't it, right? Because when it's more about securing a spot inside, a top 24 situation compared to now, it's only, the top performing teams that will get that payout. How much more different our play style is going to be? Are we going to see some of those players that we thought might have performed a little bit better from playoffs finally perform today? I think one name that is on my mind today is going to be a Neymar and Bojo, right? Because they didn't have a banger playoff, right? They did what they had to do. They made it in. But, I mean, today's where it really counts, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. We did see a less of their best, if that makes sense. So they're not going to go put in their 100% all the eggs into a playoff. All the goal over there is just to try get into finals, and I feel like that's what they achieved. Right? They're here today to show us exactly what they're capable of, and that is for all the teams that qualified. I mean, we didn't even get to touch into Storm Surge, and that is basically when there's more than enough players alive than the game can actually handle. So Storm Surge actually forces people to fight each other, people to get some damages so that they don't get eliminated from the game. We didn't get to see that in playoffs, but this time around, I feel like 100% we're going to be seeing some of that stuff coming to action, especially in the first two, maybe even all four games, because like I say, this is 100,000 rand. So that myself is going to be shocked by what is going to be played. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. And I know you, Iro, have already made a bit of a top five prediction over on Twitter. I saw you rooting for some of the boys. As I'd like to hear your top five right now. Who are you looking at that is going to come up over there and be right at the top?
Definitely going to be keeping an eye out for Goliath Gaming. Travis was hitting some disgusting shots in playoffs, so I'm
Yeah.
wondering if that's going to be happening today as well. The Carve and them, they also really impressed me with how they were rotating. We talked a little bit about it on the qualifiers. They're coming back with a little bit of a vengeance. I'm not sure if they're going to make that splash today, but I want to see them maybe get into that top fives as a little bit of a treat. Definitely going to be keeping an eye out for Neymar. Definitely going to be keeping an eye out, for Reapsy, all of the likes, the rejects, all of them. I mean, they have so much experience coming through into this one. It would be a little ridiculous not to, keep them in our minds for that top five. Whether that's going to come to fruition, I'm not too sure. I would love to be surprised and have, a team that we haven't even spoken out come out of nowhere and just absolutely blow us out of the water.
Yeah, it's all about those teams that aren't really backed by those big organizations that we're just still discovering and still trying to find out if they have a spot in this scene. And speaking of spots, right, something that I found interesting watching the playoffs was really what the weapon meta is looking like, right? I saw a lot of auto drum shotguns being used. That rapid fire SMG was being used as well because it helps with breaking down those walls. And I mean, guys, what do you think right now are the current meta weapons to be picking up? What should we be looking out in terms of when we see a team with a good inventory? Are they playing for that early game or those late game situations?
Well, when it comes down to the desired loadout, especially in endgame, one would potentially look at three consumables, so like chug splashes, minis, and a big pot. Then your weapons slots should either look like a drum shotgun. I'm a controller player, so I will prefer a drum shotgun or a good striker pump, like maybe a gold pump if you do get that. And then your SMG could either be a Stinger SMG, that is generally your ideal slot. That's what you have most of the time. You do get, on the other hand, a key BM player may go for three guns, two heals, especially in duos. You do have that combination of key BM, keyboard and mouse players, and controller players. So it just all comes down to the preference. But I gave you a breakdown of what would be most desired. I think that really gets you into endgame, especially in tense situations when you've dealt damage to yourself. A chug splash is there to heal you instantly, 20 HP up. So it's really good, especially in intense situations.
Yeah, it's really good. And I mean, guys, in terms of what matters more, right? Because I think, a lot of other battle royales have it quite different. Where I think in Fortnite, the victory royale is really important because you get way more points than you probably would get trying to get kills. In terms of elimination points, where do you guys stand on elimination points? Is it worth seeking out more of those end game positions where you can find yourselves in zone and starting to rotate in slowly and tunneling your way in? Or are you going to be one of those teams that like to hang around the edge, maybe try pick up a couple of kills while teams are trying to make the rotations in and maybe get your points through that?
Ira, you want to take this one first?
So I think in a 100K tournament, you wanna. So there's three stages to Fortnite. It's your off spawn. You wanna play it out safe, especially if you are contesting. You don't want to go and 50-50 a gun or a house. If someone is landing there, try get a good distance. And then when it comes to mid game, box up. You don't want to get yourself into trouble while taking up another fight, because there's third parties. There's people looking for search tags. There's people who are going to be shooting from a distance. So you want to make sure you're safe, boxed up, and in a good position to make the next rotations. From there, what you could potentially then look at as well is your end games, your rotations, your IGL and fragger. So your IGL needs to make sure that is getting you into a good top zone, into a good position. The fragger needs to do the work. You need to at least pick up at least 5-6 eliminations in end game. That's a good number, especially in duos, and then at least the top 5. So your aggression then needs to pick up towards the end, because you risked everything. You're now in the end game. If you're not putting yourself out there getting eliminations, what's a win with 2 kills? It's like you put all that effort in. A second place may potentially even grab that first place position already.
Yeah, look, we also did see for the likes of Travis and Neymar and them, as they would make their rotations there towards those final zones, they were really, really active, even there towards, I think, almost from that 50-50 zone, we start seeing them picking people apart. We start seeing them looking for those stragglers that are out in the open, that aren't boxed up, and they pick up those eliminations. They get themselves those points as they move on, because we know in those final zones, it's going to be chaos. As the storm is moving, you best believe you're going to be running into boxes with full teams sitting and waiting for you. So I do agree with Ira. Get yourself set up early on. Don't take those 50-50 shots of maybe getting some eliminations, maybe not. You want to get yourself looted up first. You want to make sure you've got enough mats, which has also been a big issue that we saw in the playoffs. So hopefully the teams are going to be taking those early phases as their loot phase, get themselves set up with their mats, with their weaponry, with all of the consumables that they need, and then those final zones come through. That's where the eliminations are really going to kick off. So they just need to make sure they survive until that point.
It is definitely about surviving. And speaking of surviving, an interesting thing that I think I saw in the playoffs that not many teams were doing was bringing vehicles into those end game positions. I think Iro's touched about it, talking about how it also provides a little bit of extra cover here and there, especially when mats are low and you can't find those kills to replenish your supplies. How important are vehicles right now in the game of Fortnite, Iro, do you believe?
So I touched on this because it has Fortnite has developed over the past couple of years, especially in South Africa. Vehicles was never touched, especially to the fact that a single clip of an AR, like 30 bullets, can immediately blow up your vehicle. So most of the time, people didn't even bother using them because they just not really good when it comes to rotation, especially in end game situations. However, over time, especially now with Fortnite, they've decreased the damage that is directed to a vehicle and increased the vehicle's HP as well. So you do get like 1 or 2 guys of maybe even I think like 5 max teams going into endgame who still use the vehicles, and that is crucial part of Fortnite now. I mean, you see it in other battle royales, Warzone, as well as PUBG. You do got vehicles in the battleground, so it is a crucial part of battle royale. And I feel like the Fortnite South African players need to adapt more to it. They shouldn't really focus too much on a vehicle that's traveling past. You don't want to. You're also putting yourself in danger. You then getting attention from the opposition. So yeah, I think vehicles are an important role, and people need to start adapting even faster to them.
Yeah, I believe so as well. It's all about maximizing what is inside your inventory. And speaking of maximizing what's inside of your inventory, you need to start using those jump pads efficiently, right? Because those are really important in those end game rotations. As I'm sure you can touch a little bit more about that. How important is it for you to especially make sure along the path of looting that you find those pieces of utility that will help you with those rotations?
I mean, we all know about the moving ice storm. You need to make sure you've got that mobility, whether that's vehicles, whether that's jump pads. Make sure you have an opportunity to get out of dodge if you need to. It's important. It's so, so vital.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
definitely vital.
I could touch on that. I mean, you're looking at, say, for instance, fifth zone, right? That's where the before the moving zones actually happen, and say for instance you're positioned in the great 50-50, but now zone pools max, there is so much that is going to be in front of you, over 50 players that's going to be in your line of sight, or that you rotating that max zone is not possible without jump pads and so forth. If you do it with your materials, try build a full top max, you're going to have nothing, and you're going to then have the pressure of, I now need to get that elimination. So yeah, jump pads are crucial, and people use them at certain times, moving zones. Sometimes they even use it from fourth to fifth zone, because again, fifth zone is called, it's there, but it's also called 50-50, because you have a 50% chance of actually pulling that zone over there. So yeah.
Well, with that, we are actually into the first game of the day, and it's looking really good so far, Ira. I think the opportunity that these teams have to take this further, it starts with that first game. Pick up is good, a good set of points. Make sure you got a good foundation moving further, and really, really hunker down, because this is all or nothing.
It is all or nothing. It is the first game of the All-Star Grand Finals right over here. And we got iconic duo Bojo and Nemo, who could potentially be walking away with the victory over here. I mean, when I did my predictions, I put them at number 1. And that's because they land at a great spot. But not only that, they are a spectacular team when it comes to fighting in and around the vicinity. So I really look forward to seeing how this team can perform.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting, and I am waiting for those opportunities to see if we're going to see, some initial more off-spawn fights. But I don't know, that command cavern was looking pretty hot and heated over towards Rocky Reels as well. I was wondering if we're going to see someone make use of that blimp, and now we do actually have an opportunity to view that coming through. Some great opportunity for loot here, some huge opportunities to get those loot boxes and get yourself set up. Already some great purple shotguns available, chug splashes galore. Just make sure we don't die to any NPCs today, Arrow.
Yeah, we did see. I think it was even Travis and Rejects who is spectating. Travis was going up against an IO God quite in the playoffs and almost got eliminated over there. But yeah, now we here on board. Rejects in them landing great spot. Rocky Reels. They, however, got a bit of a nerf at that POI. They did have an NPC that was selling out launch pads, but unfortunately, that NPC has been removed from Rocky. So they're just now gonna need to rely on their skill and RNG to maybe then pick up launchpad on the ground over there. We are on to Ace and Gloves, potential top 5 as well in the interconnections. That all comes down to RNG. And, when we talk about RNG, as maybe let the viewers know how it works here in Battle Royale.
Look, RNG Battle Royale, it is the age-old combination when we talk about it. So, yes, sometimes you can drop in your favorite loot start and, you'll be going through your different phases. You'll be going through the different buildings, looking for that purple pump, looking for that perfect, opportunity to get yourself started here, and you just don't get it. Maybe you drop a sniper and you're like, hey, I don't want to be starting with the sniper here. What's going on? That it just comes down to the randomness of Battle Royale. You're not always guaranteed the exact loot that you're going to be getting off your spot. We do know, Command Cavern, sometimes, you can make sure at least you're going to get those 2 jump pads, but you don't know what guns you're going to get. You don't know what mats you're going to be able to get. You also don't know who's going to jump into your territory. So, the randomness of it all, Ira, we know it. Battle Royale, it is absolutely crazy. It looks like we're already seeing a little bit of a fight going on here. The boxes are up. They're just looking for that connection here.
Yeah, this is Chili and Savage here at Logjam. And I do believe, according to Chili in the morning, he said he is actually contesting Sobzy and Flash of Spawn. So if this is it, this is definitely going to be an interesting fight over here. We mentioned Sobzy and Flash quite a number of times in the playoffs. Console Kid doing the works here in the Fortnite South African scene. And I really hope, he's able to prove himself in the Fortnite community. But it does look like a knock is in place here for Savage, and it goes in for the cleanup.
Ooh.
There goes that first elimination for you guys over there on the spectate sort of point of view over there. And that's might just change things around on the next set of games. Now that pressure is there, now you know exactly who you're going up against,
What we also didn't actually get to talk about is obviously when we saw playoffs happen, we had those two groups happening. So we didn't have the likes of Travis, in the same lobby as Neymar. We didn't have the
Yeah.
likes of these crazy, crazy duos that were really leading the packs on the same map. But today we have that. So today, absolute chaos is going to be happening. An opportunity for some of these teams to really showcase what they have available. And that little bit of a change up, it's just thinning the herd to our top 20, our top 40 in this case, does provide us an opportunity to really see what these teams are made of. So, I mean, again, it's going to be chaos. If you thought that playoffs were great, if you thought that they were a little crazy, trust me, the shots are going to be even more disgusting today. Good to see Neymar and Bojo still here towards command cabin, getting themselves looted up and still ready and set, already looking pretty good in terms of consumables. And Matt's not too bad either. I mean, the metal and the brick could be a little bit better, but I'm sure they'll get that done and dusted. They are here. I mean, they've got the opportunities.
They definitely do. And I'd like that you mentioned, we got to see each of the duos perform in their respected playoffs. We'll touch base on that. Altus actually getting targeted here as Shifty Shafts is now going to get a good distance and heal up, but maybe a bit worrying on their loadout over there. I mean, they got a harpoon, but no big pots whatsoever. And if another sort of situation like that actually comes into play, he only has 5 minis. So if that, we talked about how crucial it is, to have that set loadout going into endgame. I mean, it's not looking too sweet here for Altus.
No, look, we want a little bit more, availability. We were talking about making use of whatever you have in your arsenal. That comes through with your consumables. That comes through with your weaponry. Definitely comes through with your maps, as we know, absolutely vital in Fortnite. And we saw a few teams, unfortunately, faltering to that, towards that end game. They're in those box fights. They're trying to get themselves set up and in safety, and they just don't have the mats to stay alive. And we saw a lot more teams dying off sooner than they would have wanted to because of that. But again, different set of mentality coming through to finals. This is all or nothing. They are playing to be in that top 4 spot. They are playing for that share of that so juicy prize pool. So hopefully we'll be seeing all of those, not necessarily mistakes, but just, in hindsight, fixing a little bit of that, coming through into the finals and making sure that they are doing their absolute best. But yeah, like you said, we at least get to see everyone, all of the best two duos coming through in this map, on this lobby. It's going to be chaos.
Well, let's see exactly what happens over there and how things turn around. But yeah, here off spawn, 73 players are remaining at the stage. Let's see exactly what that means going into the first zone closure in about a minute, 45 seconds. And already, we're looking at a massive game on our hands. I mean, only 7 players have found themselves eliminated. So that just comes to show how passive each and every individual is coming to the party right over here. And this is essentially what I was talking about when Tendo asked, where does that aggression start to pick up? And it's going according to what I've suggested. Off spawn, you play it out safe. Mid game, you just want to find yourself in the safe zone, boxed up, not looking for anyone. And then end game is where essentially things need to work out over there. So yeah, now let's see what happens. But first zone coming into play, Ace and Glubs moving into the safe zone in their Lamborghini, not driving too safe. Hopefully that doesn't affect them later in the stage.
Yeah, look, we won't judge the driving skills here. Look, I don't know if I would be driving like this necessarily, but again, this is a difference when it comes to Fortnite. And looking at it now, still staying alive, making sure we're making use of those vehicles. I do want to see how many teams are going to be placing a bit more of a focus in that. Maybe if you don't have jump pads available, that vehicle might be, your escape route that you need to get into a better position, especially when the moving zones come through, when that 50-50 starts. It's a huge opportunity. So I do want to see how many teams actually place a little bit more focus on that. Already good to see the teams changing it up in terms of staying alive. I mean, in the previous lobbies, we already had 30 to, almost 50 teams dropping at this point already. So good to see this happening already. Travis, though, taking a lot of damage here, needing to box up quickly because on the high ground, we've already got a couple teams just throwing some shots, just seeing if they can get a cheeky kill here or there. But for the time being, looks like they'll be able to just safely get into the next zone potentially.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we already also have another rebooted player, so that number is at 74. So people who haven't dealt any damage whatsoever, they're going to be shaking just a bit in when the storm starts to shrink even furthermore. So let's see exactly what goes into play right there. But it does look like the team is just going to be using the cannons. But just look exactly what's happening over here. Making sure rotations for the teams are being difficult right now. So they just boxed up on a cannon right here, and I've mentioned that these cannons can shoot you up, and you get to redeploy your glider and land in a position that is most desirable for you. So it does look like they are in the zone right now. So good location to actually box up on that cannon, because when that next zone is then formed, they could just easily launch themselves into that location over there.
Yeah, those early rotations really help out some of the teams. I mean, you could be the first one to set up that tower in center zone, get yourself really, really good high ground. And obviously, high ground, we know, great line of sight onto the rest of the teams. Right now, Travis and, of course, Rejects, they are a little bit falling victim to this team here on top of the hill, just beaming down, trying to get some sort of an angle here, maybe a little bit of damage, and looking for an opportunity to jump into the action. Some nice little bit of a shield damage there, but nothing too crazy yet. Not a huge trigger really to push on through and take that engagement, because we know engagements, they might mean eliminations for you later on, but it also might mean you get sent back to the lobby. So very, very calculated approach here coming through from Ace. So I like it. I do like that these teams are already showing a little bit more of that professional spirit, that competitive spirit coming through into today.
Yeah, definitely. It is always great when that actually comes into action right here. First game is nerves, right? I mean, every game, every competition it's just understanding exactly what is expected.
I do love to see that. But of course, Ira, we do have a bit of a giveaway happening today, don't we?
We do indeed. Do you want to talk all about it? Let the viewers know exactly what's happening over there.
I mean, I do wish Tendo was here, because he does the giveaway so well. But of course, we do have a 1,000 rand voucher from Incredible Connection happening today. So if you are a Fortnite player or a console Fortnite player or a PC Fortnite player, you need to let us know in chat which one do you prefer. Are you a console? Or are you PC? I know Ira is a console. I myself I'm always PC. I can't do anything with a console. I'm absolutely useless. So let us know in chat. Console or PC Fortnite? Which one is your preferred method?
Well, the controller is just always going to be better, right? I mean, we have to put it out there. You get aim assist and KBM PC. It's just you got your 10 fingers to work on the keyboard.
I don't know. Keyboard and mouse is just better for me. Okay, console. My aim is horrible.
Yeah, I don't know why that is the case though, but you do from time to time actually do see your aim being a bit inconsistent, and especially in Fortnite. Apparently, like while you're in a game, what they do is if you do go into the game with a controller input, what they used to do back in the days, especially at long distance, is use their keyboard and mouse to just get a few tags. But now what Fortnite has done is if it recognizes you going into the game with your controller input, you can't necessarily use your keyboard and mouse, because then when you go back to your controller, you lose your aim assist that you did have over there.
Oh, we do have a little bit of love apparently for Rejects and his mother. So just shout out to Rejects' mom in chat, just being the best supported. So Rejects' mama, thank you. We see you. We love you being here. But of course, I mean, if we're looking at it now, that rotation now going through just a little bit lower, maybe towards that southern region there of Lock Jam Lumberyard, a little bit closer to Command Cavern. We know who loves Command Cavern, don't we? We know who's generally always there, sitting and just waiting for the rest of the competition. So it's going to be a little bit interesting here for the favorite duo that we all love. Who do you think that is, Ira? That's always in Command Cavern.
Honestly, who could it be? It slipped
Who could
my
it
mind.
be?
It is Neymar and Bojo. That's actually good for them that they don't need to like rotate quite mad and so forth. But the disadvantage is over there is that they didn't get any tags of spawn. So when it does come into the storm active that has been active for the longest time, I wonder how no one has died, because you got that one player who is alive right now, and you can see teams have 480 damage above, some other teams have 270, but that surge is almost active for the entire zone. So someone has to be using a lot of heals that hasn't dealt damage whatsoever in the game. So I wonder who potentially could that be. We'll maybe see a kill feed if no one does get the first elimination on hand to remove that one threshold that's above.
It's gonna be interesting because again, we
Oh,
mentioned
there's the Storm
there's a little
Surge elimination in the kill feed.
already,
Just come through.
already.
Yeah. The player has died
Oh, we
to
love
Storm
it.
Surge. I wonder who it is. I really wonder who it could have been. Very unfortunate, though, I have to say.
But that's when the difference in focus comes through, right? I mean, you do need to at least be peeking and prodding a few of these teams, get that damage up. As we know, for the Storm Surge, it can be really vital, especially coming through to finals. In playoffs, it wasn't necessarily a worry, but today we know there's a different mentality coming all the way through. So already at a couple beautiful shots coming through here from the likes of Travis and Rejects. And again, I do like that we're seeing these teams staying active. You know, they're not necessarily pushing for those eliminations, but they're getting the damage up. They're making sure they're peeking and prodding, getting that information, and just staying active to just keep the rest of the opponents at least at bay for the time being. It's already a nice little bit of an overview of what's happening here. Going towards Command Cavern, we know it's going to be a bit of an uphill climb here for these teams. Some have already set themselves up there onto that high ground. They're just waiting for those rotations to come in, and then that 50-50 zone is going to make this super, super interesting.
No, definitely. And I like how you mentioned, that incline in terrain. It becomes so difficult. And a lot of players don't get that early rotation in. And that is very, very tough from a lot of the players because, they are set up quite well. But then it comes to understanding or, that game experience that puts you in a good position. The Rejects and Travis really focusing the solo player here ahead of us. I mean, even trying to go through that armored wall that was placed down, and they do have the ammo to do that. I mean, 447 AR, and then on top of that, 351 SMG. But now they're just going to come down a little bit. They got 54 seconds to make the rotation into Command Cavern. There's Travis sort of drop down pin where they're going to be making the rotation. So just under the E in Cavern, really good location to put themselves in.
Look, they're just a little bit of a throwing stone away from that zone. They have an opportunity to get into there. It's just about worrying about who's around them. Of course, we know a few teams have already made those rotations in, set themselves up in those boxes, and are waiting, just waiting for anyone to be outside, straggling, trying to get into zone and get picked off potentially. For the time being, though, in terms of mats, Travis and Rejects, they've got some great brick and metal still available for those final zones. And you can already see, we spoke about this, making sure you're using that at the right time and the right place. This, definitely the right time and place to be using that metal and brick because we know the beams are just going to be flying on through.
Definitely. You don't want to position yourself in especially in this late game in wood. No. Because 3-2-1, here you go. Here you beamed a couple damages coming in, and you can easily get cracked as well in that position because the bullets are just spraying right through that material. So yeah, good idea coming in from the teams who just boxed up nice and in heavy materials right over here. 67 players remaining. That means 17 players now need to be eliminated before 30 seconds. As I can tell you, that is not happening. Storm Surge is going to be activated once again. And for the viewers who are joining for the first time in a Fortnite broadcast, I haven't really watched a Fortnite tournament before. Storm Surge basically forces individuals to take on damage or give damage to their oppositions in order to survive the Storm Surge. So lightning bolts come down if you don't have a damage threshold above, and you actually do get affected by 25 for each lightning bolt, and I think that's every 5 seconds or every 10 seconds. So yeah, you can imagine the pressure some of these Fortnite competitors right here have, and that's the Storm Surge active, ready to rock and roll. 15 players need to be eliminated, or the Storm Surge will find those 15 players for you.
Oh, I do love a little bit of good Storm Surge coming on through, but of course we know Neymar and Bojo, they are not going to be falling victim to that anytime soon. Currently 471 damage above that damage threshold, and they're looking to just keep on getting more, maybe a couple of eliminations on top, you know, just a nice little sprinkling. So I love this coming through, and again, staying active, making sure you're making it difficult for the competition. Yes, that 50-50 zone has come through. Yes, they do need to make a rotation, but now they've put a little bit of fear in their opponents. So let's see if they can actually use this advantage, get those jump pads up and going, and get into that storm eye.
Like I mentioned, always good position to actually use your launch pads is in this position. But just look at that server lag due to so many players being alive right over here. Bojo taking quite a lot of damage, but it does look like now he's finally find himself a safe haven to sort of redeem and breathe a little bit over here. So now he's able to heal up, does have himself amazing Big Pots as well as managed to get back to 200 HP. He is a KBM player, therefore opting out for the 3 gun slots and 2 heals, and I can guarantee that Neymar has the 3 heals, 2 weapon slots over there. But 52 players remain. The zone's just about to close and go into the next moving zones right over here. And we're still in that Storm Surge, so we're gonna just keep on hitting Storm Surge after Storm Surge. Players here playing so passive, trying to just grab that first game at hand, release the pressure off their shoulders, and maybe be in a comfortable confidence going into the rest of the 3 games that is still yet to play.
But as we know, you're going to be forced into a corner there. That Storm Surge coming through is going to really place some extra pressure, which is what we want. We want these teams to be pushed to the absolute limit. You can already see a couple of box fights going on here, just trying to find the angle in, sending those shots, sending the beams, but the mats are just coming in clutch at the right time, right moment here. And I mean, this is an opportunity not only for Rejects, not only for Travis, maybe to get some eliminations here, but of course, for the time being, they're still safe. They do need to get a rotation going here.
Yeah, it's that high terrain that now they just need to work with here. Travis absolutely cracked and broken. Finds an opposition launch pad, but he's going into the sky with no white heals whatsoever. Rejects, however, picks up a knock for himself. He still focuses on that rotation. Does get cracked himself, just actually 50 damage on his end. And now they get to heal up, but no more chug splashes in the back pocket whatsoever. And uses a mini before that rotation. Also gets his siphon from that knock quite early on. So he's actually in a good position. It all comes down now to Travis to try find himself with that siphon elimination at play.
Oh, love this. Heading down into the action a little bit further. Just trying to keep up with the action here.
Travis knocks down to 4 damage.
Oh, yep. Well, that's what's going to happen if you're going to jump off a mountain here, but they should be able to box up and get themselves... oh, not in time, not in time. That storm is just coming in way too soon. So unfortunately, Travis is going to have to be left behind. Rejects is still up and alive, but for the time being, for how long? Oh no, there's so much damage happening here as they're trying to get into the zone. And again, elimination after elimination just means that there's loot available, but you're going to be down to a solo with Rejects who's still...
Rejects, you absolute beam, coming in with a clutch of a play, but he now needs to work his way into the zone and he just can't get out of it. He's lost a couple of 40 damage due to that little bit of a time waste that he had over there, taking a couple of minis here right now, and the pressure is on. Still 32 players alive right here. He hasn't even tickled into placement points. He's just managed to get into it and now needs to work his way into the end game as a solo. And this is a team-based tournament. There's going to be players left, right, and center, so he has to make sure his cover is around. He does have himself a decent amount of mats, however.
You can just hear the absolute chaos just going on right around him as they're trying to make their rotation into zone. Rejects a solo from a clutch of a lifetime, jumped into the box, and that team is going to go out in 15th, unfortunately. And now we turn our attention to the rest of the lobby. Who is going to take this further? I mean, so many teams now down to solos, as we can see. Unfortunately, the rotation into this next eye was not an easy one.
It was not whatsoever. 22 players still alive over here. Player takes a gamble, makes that rotation of their Bojo. Neymar still alive at the duo from Command Caven. And now still in this position to make it to the very end game. The IGL with 140 mats at hand, looking to get an opportunity to beam. But it does look like it just loses his positioning and now needs to follow in behind by Neymar. And it does look like Neymar and Bojo are trying to make a play for high. But can they do it successfully with no mats whatsoever? However, to his name, he's going to find it quite difficult to maintain this position, trying to just scare off the opponents that was on height. And now it does look like they've managed to secure that. There comes a little bit of a split drop of materials coming out from Neymar. So it does look like they can secure this sort of possession of height, and that means victory royale is in a smile. It is right over here. They can definitely walk through with a good position.
Oh, we've seen what happens here before. Bojo and Neymar with the high ground, just beaming down to the opposition below them. Just trying to get through that brick right now so they can have a line of sight onto the opponents around them. But so far, they're not quite yet finding it. Having to manage their pathing into this eye of the storm here has been absolutely crucial. Onto a little bit of high ground now, an opportunity for them to stay here. They're just looking for that shot. It's going to be absolutely insane, but it is going to be Neymar and Bojo taking the first victory royale.
Amazing scenes coming out from Neymar. Neymar just goes in, smacks the opponents on low ground, and grabs the win for Bojo and them. Massive scenes coming out from that.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, it's almost like it's scripted coming out again. Neymar and Bojo, they are just always on top of their game. And I mean, I mentioned it in the beginning. I was like, hey, they didn't have a great playoff. What's going on? But now they come through to the grand finals and they show up. It is a big day for them. And this is a good win to start things off. I mean, guys, wow, what a first game. Are you excited for the rest of these games over here at the Fortnite All-Stars, guys? I mean, what's to come next? I almost thought that, Goliath was going to clutch it up a little bit there towards the end. Rejects was doing an absolute madness, but it just went a little bit wayward.
Yeah, it is always so difficult. Like I mentioned, solo in an end game, you will have players around you and you are going to be swamped up. And unfortunately, you're solo. You can only do much there in that position. But what a massive scene either way from the team. It was very unfortunate for Travis to die to 4 damage in that position.
Yeah, it was extremely unfortunate for him to die with 4 damage. But again, congratulations to that win from Neymar and Bojo. And I mean, speaking of winners over here at the Fortnite All-Stars, which is sponsored by Incredible Connection All-Star Gaming. Make sure you guys follow the channel. And of course, our sponsors as well, Asus ROG. Make sure you guys are following the channel over here, keeping up with all of the Twitter conversation that is happening. And I mean, speaking of winners, we do have a giveaway winner before we enter this quick little short break while we get ready for game number 2. The winner of the 1,000 Rand Incredible Connection voucher. Are you a builder or a non-builder? And the winner is Pesley. Oh my goodness. I mean, you love to see it, don't you? It's not even, I swear. But yeah, guys, we are gonna get ready for this second game over here at the Fortnite All-Stars. Let's give Ez and Iro a quick little breath before we get into some more intense action. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Fortnite All Stars, sponsored by Incredible Connection All Star Gaming, and of course Asus ROG. My name is Thendoplays, your host today. Joined with me is Iro OG and EsProxy. We've just come out of a banger game number two. Game number one. We're going into game number two. Not me moving ahead of schedule. Lol, lol, lol. But guys, what a banger first game to start off this action here on Saturday, right?
No, it was absolutely crazy, and I mean, coming through to that, like you said, we thought Travis and Rejects were going to be that winning duo, and then Travesty did before, but unfortunately for them, it is fortunate for the rest of the teams because, of course, we had Neymar and Bojo coming through with that absolutely clutch 2v1 right in the end to get that victory royale.
Yeah, it was definitely a great sight to behold them getting that victory royale. And a thing that I just wanted to mention, guys, the point system is a little bit different, right? The community had a bit of a say in how they wanted to change things up for these grand finals. Iro, just before we hop into it, what do you think now that everything's changed up a tiny little bit with the points?
Passive is equals more placement points because you start getting from 40 and upwards. So I think really great for the community.
Yeah, it's definitely great for the community. And what is definitely more great for the community is giveaways. This time I'll be opening it as we are doing another 1,000 Rand voucher giveaway before we hop into the second game. And you just got to tell us who is your favorite participating team in the chat room. Let us know, and then the IC crew will contact you. Guys, we're jumping into this next game. While we're jumping in, give the people a few predictions on who might come out on top this time around. It's been me, Thendoplays, handing over to Iro OG and EsProxy.
Ira, we are here. Game number 2 is officially live. Who are you feeling? What's those predictions looking like?
Well, game number 1, we sort of went on the same track as my prediction. Neymar to win the entire thing. He wins game number 1, but I wonder how many eliminations he managed to walk out with over there. But we'll be able to see that just when we scout have some time on our hands just to look at that leaderboard. But predictions, I say it's roughly same. I feel like, however, we will have one or other two teams who may potentially win this game. It's almost rare to get, as lucky as they did or play as aggressive as they did. I mean, did you see Bojo? He went for height with less than 100 mats at hand. And for those of you wondering, 100 mats only gives you 10 bolts. And he was building a floor ramp. He was doing a lot, right? So, they cycled that, and I can tell you that was luck that made them secure their heighted position because it's not every day you have that opportunity.
Yeah, look, I mean, I did get a little bit of a squiz at the leaderboard, and again, I would say, fairly same. I'm still going to be keeping my eye out there towards Bojo and Neymar. There were some good eliminations across the board. There were a few teams that really came through as the absolute just stellar duos there, especially towards that final zone. We obviously had Smiley and Mixed Sticks there with Solo coming through, but hopefully this time around we might be having a bit of a different change-up because, again, as much as I love every single one of these teams, there can only be one duo right at the top of everyone else. So for that, unfortunately, only one or two are going to be getting those victory royales today. And I do want to see a little bit of competition coming through. I do want to see teams fighting it out right towards the end to see, who's going to be that winning duo? Who's going to get that bigger share of that 1,000 Rand prize pool? And that's going to come down to that competition right up until the end of the wire. So who knows? Maybe it will be Bojo and Neymar. Maybe Travis and Rejects is going to switch it up this time around. Make sure that they have enough for those final zones, and hopefully this time not falling off any sort of mountain cliffs. But that's going to come down to the pressure that the rest of the teams are going to be applying to them. And we did see some initial setups there towards that final zone. We had a few teams already setting up early on those mountain ranges and just beaming down the line.
Yeah, definitely, exactly. Well, let's see exactly what happens this time around. We do have sort of roughly the same sort of start to the games. You got 7 players who found themselves eliminated. Even more players are dropping down. 2 more just confirmed in the kill feed over there. So now we're down to 70. 70. So yeah, that was crazy. We just went from 73 to 70 in a second.
I mean, that happens when you have these like hot off spawn drop hits, and then you just get into these fights, and all of a sudden it's once again chaos. We can see Travis and Rejects now back into their own little bit of a fight, just getting that connection, but a box in the nick of time coming on through and just looking for that angle. It is Rejects staying alive, waiting for the duo. Travis to come through, is going to get the pump in time though, so we'll be able to get that elimination. And again, like you said, in the nick of time, we dropped 3 from 73 to 70. Now we're down to 67. So again, some hot, off spawn fights happening here, which again is not what we necessarily wanted, but apparently that seems to be the case today.
Definitely. I mean, it is going to start slowing down. Maybe one of these two teams. In fact, if you even look at it, it's Rejects and Travis on their end picking up the pace. I mean, look at where Rocky Reels is and look where they pushed into. So you are going to get like teams that need to make up for their mistake, like Travis and Rejects are doing right now. I mean, it's not always great making that massive mistake. That is you going and dying to fall damage. It's not as if Travis made a rotation and he got boxed up or full pieced and he got eliminated. It's a silly mistake that sometimes occurs when playing battle royale, especially when it involves building. So yeah, so Travis and them obviously just trying to pick up the pace here of spawn, not running into a passive start. They want to just grab as much points as they can, because where they're standing right now is not even in the top 5. I mean, they need to do a lot of work, and like we mentioned, these 4 games, there's no room for mistakes. So I just think right now Travis and Rejects are just making up for that game number 1. There's still 3 more games, and imagine doing well in all 3. They could potentially even still win the tournament. So yeah, let's see exactly what comes into play for the team.
It's kind of funny that they actually picked up those eliminations there towards gas station, a little bit more northeast of Rocky Reels, because normally that's where I would go, because I think it's kind of safer. Like, you're close enough to the blimp, so maybe you can get some loot a little bit later on. But that's my safe spot. So I feel bad for the team that was finding them there towards that gas station, because it was the wrong gas station to pick today. But coming through for the rest of these teams, they also want to make sure they get into that top 4. As we know, the prize winnings, that 1,000 Rand prize pool, is shared amongst the top 4 of today. So game number 1 done and dusted. Like Ira said, 3 more chances, 3 more opportunities for these teams to pick up the points they desperately need to get a little bit of a juicy share of that prize pool. And we know it's crazy. I mean, from 4th up until 5th to 1st place, it's a huge disparity in terms of the money you're getting. Yes, you're getting money at the end of the day, but you want to get as much as you can. We want to get some crazy skins from this. We want to get some good setups going here, thanks to this incredible prize pool. Of course, brought to you by Incredible Connections, All-Star Gaming, and of course our fantastic sponsors like Asus ROG, coming through in clutch today with some huge prizes. So this is going to be interesting. I do want to see a little bit of a change up. I did love that we saw that Storm Surge. It just shows you that these teams are changing it up, Ira.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about adapting to, each game's playstyle. I mean, for Fortnite competitive player, especially one like Deimos and E-Tech, who is spectating right now, they know what it takes to, play every game. First game's going to be your most toughest one, especially last game, believe it or not, especially if you're doing well. 4th game is going to be the most nerve-wracking game for you. So yeah, it comes down to just adapting and adjusting to each game. And I can break it down for you for the chat. First game aggressive, passive. Second game is semi-passive, and then third is aggressive. Especially if you're starting to fall behind, you have nothing to lose in third game. So we're gonna be just trying to be aggressive, and we can look at that over there. There's the leaderboard for you guys, and in first place is going to be Bojo Neymar. Second is going to be Smiley and Mixtex with 60 points. And third is George and Swizzy, and they have 58. It's still so close. It's in anyone's hand in the top 3. Fourth place is Hitman Squad, which is Zeri and Culprit, and then ZAX Uganda is on 50 points. So that's your top 5 of there. It goes all the way down. Look where Goliath Gaming is sitting, however. They had 4 eliminations and died at 15th. Just imagine if that situation hadn't gone into play.
Oh, yeah, that would have been a completely different change. But again, it's still very close, especially if we look at your top five. If you look from fifth to fourth place, it's only 6 points, differentiating from that. I mean, that's a good placement. That's a good, set of eliminations. Either way, still very doable for a lot of these teams to pick up some much needed points. And I want to see that actually coming through here. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tough, but we do know that these teams need to stay up to date. They need to keep up with the competition. Otherwise, like you said, that third game, you might be, just falling behind a little bit.
Definitely. Now, coming into the zone rotations over here, it's going to be around Crossroad. What's nice about this iconic Crossroads and the area is level playing terrain. There's no mountains like we did have in game number one. You don't need to run around looking quite crazy on that rotation. But now they quite should be happy on that. They're going to be more conservative on mats. So I look forward to seeing how this end game is going to be looking like. I mean, we were at 67 players. A couple players are looking to be rebooted. We're at 69 now. So iconic number.
Hey, at least they're keeping their players back in check, making sure we're getting everyone involved as much as we can, which we love to see. We do want to see a little bit more of that Storm Surge action, and you can really see a few teams trying to pick up that damage here, making a couple of rotations, and bam, go your shields! Oh, nice little bit of a cheeky little shot. They're already down to white, so this is going to be the push here to get those eliminations.
Definitely. Let's see exactly what happens. It does look like, even though they were shot at, Agility and Zero don't care about that. They're going in full force, ramping up, trying to get the height over here, but need to be careful. Third parties are around the area. This is still very early of the game. Players are still making those rotations. And there's a great shot. Nice peanut butter shotgun shot coming in and play right over there. But the drum shotgun, you can hear it just spam after spam, trying to do the most he can right now. Double edit, maybe potentially play. It does happen, does get that side jump up, and he gets that elimination. And I should catch my breath and give Ez the mic.
Look, it's hard to breathe watching action like this. I am just sitting on my seat, just hoping I'm not going to fall off today, because some of these shots have been absolutely ridiculous. We saw that coming through in the playoffs, but today it's not going to be any sort of exception here. These teams are going to push it right up until the end. They're going to push their limits because they want to make sure they're in that top four at the end of today. I mean, turning here over towards that Crossroads, it's already gone a little bit haywire for a few of the teams making their rotations into the zone. You can already see shooting into Glubsy and Ace. They are just waiting for some of those rotations. Again, Tendo did open the giveaway, so make sure that you're keeping an eye on chat. Make sure that you're letting us know who's your favorite player today. And of course, you could be winning a beautiful, beautiful 1,000 Rand gift card thanks to Incredible Connection. So big shout out to our amazing sponsors, All Star Gaming, Aces, ROG. It's been absolutely insane to have this tournament happening here. But Ira, I want to ask you, do you like the setup that they're holding right now?
Clubs and Ace, I have to say, good setup. I mean, even in terms of loadout, you do got, launch pad, 12 chug splashes. But what's nice about where they land is, I think they get up to 24 chug splashes in total. So I think if we could have watched both Ace and Gloves right now, you'd find that maybe Ace is also carrying 12 chug splashes in his back pocket. So yeah, great setup. They found themselves quite close to Conic Crossroads. I did mention that maybe Zone would potentially pull them there, so they might just be in the same location going into the next zone. So material wise, they don't need to use too much more again to build up another base like they have over here. But however, that means look at their materials. 280 brick, not the best. You at least want to go in with a set of 400, 350 and 500 at least. Like that's ideal, because they do got a launch pad, but only one. Maybe Ace has one, but you do need a lot more materials, especially in these situations.
Yeah, at least for now, like you said, that zone pulling a little bit closer in is going to mean that they don't need to worry about rotating just for the time being. So they've got some breathing room, as we can say. The rest of the teams, maybe not the case. We're down to still 60 players or 66 players. My eyes are playing tricks on me today. It's still alive in this one, so definitely expecting a little bit of that Storm Surge action just to be around the corner potentially, but that is going to depend on if they are going to get pressured out of this scenario. Still, Travis and Rejects, they're pretty close. They could get involved.
Yeah, they can indeed get involved over here. I mean, good location to find themselves in, and they can just, try get in some tags over here. 66 players remaining, so that means anytime soon, when the zone starts to shrink, right now they will be in a position of storm surge. But it does look like, they are quite happy with what they've dealt with to opponents right now. They already got those 2 eliminations of spawn. They just also right here, preventing players from rotating, and that just is better essentially for Travis and Rejects.
Yeah, getting rid of those cars. We don't want any of those opportunities for the rest of our opponents. We want to make sure that we take all of their utilities away from them. So, unfortunately, this is what happens when you don't box up your car. We were talking about it a little bit in playoffs. It's good to see some teams still making use of that, because it could just be that last option you need. Maybe it comes down to it, maybe it doesn't, but just give yourself as many options available as you possibly can for those final rotations. You can see Travis and Rejects just applying quite a bit of pressure and going to keep their eyes on that for the time being, though. Back to Bojo, just absolutely hitting some crazy shots onto White already. So unfortunately, whoever is feeling the brunt of the action there is not going to be having a good time, is not going to be having the best time, as Neymar and Bojo are busy just beaming at anyone that is trying to take a rotation into center zone.
Yeah, definitely great position that they find themselves in. Look at that, 2 launch pads that they have. Bojo over here. I think this team is bound for greatness, here in the 100,000 Rand All-Star Fortnite Grand Finals right now. I think they honestly here to, set history, because this is the first open to everyone where they can all compete for that chance of 100,000 Rand. Usually it's just for school kids or whatever the case may be, but now it's to the public. And, you never had your Reepsies, your boomers, taking part in the Fortnite competitions before.
Hey.
But now 100,000 Rand to the public. I mean, so much
That's
is
huge.
meant to happen over here. I mean, we're in the second game, we're halfway there, and it all comes down to doing magic like Bojo is doing right over here, cracking the individuals around him, getting good storm surge damage over here, as we can currently see that he doesn't have any eliminations whatsoever.
Yeah, but he's peeking and prodding. He's just tapping away at some heads that are flying. And for the time being, maybe that will be enough. It depends on what the rest of the opponents are going to be doing again. We can see a couple of eliminations popping off in the feeds, and those numbers are slowly but surely dwindling. We still have to wait and see what that 50-50 is going to look like, as the next zone has moved a little bit more south there of Connie Crossroads. So some teams have to make some rotations. As we can see here, Vibes out in the open. Has to be careful, though. A couple of heals up, couple shields up, and down the shields go, unfortunately. So hopefully they will be able to get out of this one.
Yep, definitely. Let's see exactly what happens over there and how the individuals will be working. 56 players right now. Zone is really good here for Vibes and Ethan. And do they find themselves in a fight? It does look like an Ethan just needed to slither his way out of that one. He looked like he smacked the wall a bit too hard on the opponent's end over there. Looked a bit confused, but now he's back in the back pocket of Vibes and them. So, or should I say backpack of Vibes and them. So he's in the same box. Great there. They do have themselves a decent amount of mats, I would say. Like right now, you're about to get into 50-50. He's got 388 and 300 metal. That's great. He's got an armored wall if, they do get focused from one end. 175 damage above. They definitely will need to do a lot more, especially when it comes down to those moving zones. Venom and Legacy, on the other hand, they look quite active. 2 eliminations here for an underrated duo in the tournament right now. Amazing for them to be walking into endgame with some kills at hand. That is essentially what one would work with. We did see Travis and them already do the off-spawn killing. So let's see exactly what happens with underrated players coming into action over here.
I want to see it. I want to see a duo coming through with that victory royale that we were not talking about, that we were not expecting to do that today. Because again, it's open to the public. We want to see what the public, what the South African scene of Fortnite has to show us. Because it's been absolutely incredible to see so far what some of the more experienced players have been putting in prep here. And again, Venom and of course Legacy have an opportunity here to get a little bit more damage potentially. Already 2 eliminations to their name. Looking down for those walls, just waiting for an opportunity. There it is. The shields are cracked. They're getting the damage they need. And I mean, they don't really need to be worried about Storm at the moment, but they are definitely looking for more eliminations.
Definitely. 407 damage above. This team is doing great. They do have that Storm Surge route for them. They're really working quite well over there. So let's see exactly what happens. But they now need to do a max pool of 50-50. Is the enemies in and around them going to be using launch pads? Because that's an option. You could just bargain or gamble the fact that you could get the opportunity to use an opposition launch pad, or are they going to use their material counts to get into that zone?
It's a bit of a 50-50 right now. We have to wait and see. Oh, a little bit of a sneaky steal coming through, picking up a little bit of something here. So that rotation has to come through, and of course we have to worry about, are you going to get focused as you're trying to make that rotation? I can tell you who else doesn't have to worry about it. It's going to be Travis and Rejects, who have themselves set up in center zone, just beaming away at the oppositions, trying to fly on into safety. Not making the connection just yet, but maybe they're just trying to pick up some damage here. Waiting for a little bit of those rotations to come on through. Ooh, it's just, it's so tempting, Iro. They're literally right in front of you, just ready for the pickings.
Beautiful stuff coming into play right now. But now he needs to heal up quite a bit over here. They are sitting on 3 eliminations, by the way, as that really good start to game number 2. They are 14th as it currently stands, so they will be relatively making a comeback in this one. That I can tell that mindset coming out from Goliath Gaming, Travis, Goliath Gaming Rejects. These are pioneers in the Fortnite community. They're here to not disappoint, here to make that comeback, and I do wish they can do that for the individuals over here, because just imagine how one would feel in the biggest Fortnite South African tournament.
Oh, the feelings would be running absolutely rampant. And again, we still have to get into that opportunity where teams can get those placement points, where they can start picking up as much points as they possibly can, because especially for Goliath Gaming, especially for the teams that are either below them, above them, they want to make sure they get into the top 4. And that's going to come through some calculated decisions, when to engage, when not to engage, to try and pick up as much as you possibly can. So now you can see a little bit of a rotation coming through here from Travis and Rejects. They're going to be stealing a little bit of that opposition jump pad action as they head into the eye of the storm. It's just absolute chaos as all the teams are flying into the same action. We might be seeing a couple of box sites already starting off, as Travis and Rejects are just trying to set themselves up a little bit safely, but they are... Ooh, no, they're fine. I thought they were a little bit isolated there. Whew, I was worried.
They are set. Good Chuck Splash heals as well, as they were quite low on that white due to the fact that they had to jump into the... Oh, wait, just before we continue, massive play over here as the player jumps straight into the top of Travis and Rejects deals the shotgun pump, and Travis is there to help out on those eliminations. Massive pickup for the team. A good refresh as well, as the team is looking quite healthy on infantry right there. Good damage coming up from Travis as he picks up the second elimination while topping right over here. What a madness in action right here, right now.
Oh, the HP and shields are looking low, though. They need some time to just reset, get back into the action before the rest of the teams are looking for maybe an opportunity to get some eliminations of their own. So nice little bit of a refresh in terms of the inventories that they can pick up, try and reset those utilities, those mats, those consumables, because this is going to be absolutely jam-packed. We've got 32 players still alive in this one, vying for an opportunity to get to that victory royale. So once again, some jump pads available, box themselves up into safety, because need to be careful for these shots coming on through.
Oh no, Rejects with a second of not focusing on that build over there, gets absolutely beamed out. Travis, who's also just on below 50 HP, now needs to make that rotation as a solo, and it does look like a player comes in from behind and gets those eliminations. It is Nyclo and Stale to make an upsetting here for Goliath Gaming. Now we can go over to Bojo and Neymar to see how things are looking like for them, and they actually eliminate Nyclo, who we just mentioned over there, but it does look like Neymar's in a bit of a sticky one, as he is in a battle over there, but he does manage to get out and disperse himself from that action. The big pop being placed down for Neymar to heal up both players, using this time to actually get back to 200 HP into a favorable position to continue rotating right now. Launchpad at play from Bojo. Great stuff happening here as...
Oh, we love to see it. Once again, Bojo and Neymar looking so healthy into this one. just trying to find an angle to work with here. Got a couple of teams right above them, got a couple of teams right below them. It's absolute chaos. You still got 18 players left and alive, looking for the angle, dropping some floors, just trying to spot out something to work with here. They want to pick up some of those eliminations. They want to give themselves a little bit of breathing room. Otherwise, it's going to be absolutely chaos. So that Storm Eye is still moving on. They do spot two teams moving right below them, just waiting for that angle. Wood's going to be popped on through. They're not finding an opportunity here to get involved. Oh, jumping into the same box they go, though. A fight for the death they unfortunately have to deal with. Down to no shields available. Just throwing the shots. Bojo is down. Neymar's still alive. Is going to find one. Is going to find the second. And now hopefully they can reset. But there's still so many players just up and around in this area.
Yes, and as a solo, he is going to get eliminated. 7th place over there. And now we get to stay on board with the Anonymous as they keep the rotation at play right here. Let's see exactly what happens as they try and find exactly who is in around the vicinity. Good loader on the individual. And I believe this is E-Tech, if I'm not mistaken, over here in this position. He is alive, however, as a solo. And we are now down to 5 players. And those player lists are just pulling down. He gets out his drop shotgun, but it isn't going to be enough, and unfortunately I think that is the rundown, and we won't be able to get that victory royale perspective over there.
Oh, just that last couple of seconds coming on through, it was absolutely chaos. But what have you come to expect? That was the second game, so you best believe the teams were pushing their limits.
Definitely.
Whew, guys, I mean, all right, cool. We're gonna go back into game. I believe we still have a quick little perspective before the end over there.
Never mind.
All right, never mind, because I'm feeling the anxiety after that one, because my goodness, the building that was going down over there was superb. And I mean, Goliath Gaming, everything was looking so good for Travis and Rejects. I really thought they were going to make it to the very end. They were playing the zone so well. They had the jump pad play in as well. But they were, I don't know, maybe 12 people flying in towards the same direction as them. And it just looked like impending doom at the moment over there. Even with Neymar and Bojo, it was quite hectic there towards the end, guys.
No, it was. I mean, Rejects was holding his bolt, trying to get the cover over there. But 1 second, and he looked to the right, and players managed to immediately beam him through his bolts over there. So that just shows you cannot lack a moment to do anything else. You got to make sure you're covered. But Goliath Rejects now has to pay for 2 mistakes over here, or should I say Goliath Gaming in total have to pay for 2 mistakes in the 100k tournament. Game 1 and Game 2 have not gone according to plan.
Yeah, it's definitely not really gone according to plan. And I mean, the pacing of that game was almost dictated right in the beginning, as I heard you commenting about how many off-spawn fights there were already, right? And it kind of translated towards the end game where there was just fights after fights. People were jumping inside of each other's boxes. The shotgun shots were flying. I mean, just in terms of the pacing on that one, it felt like the gear just changed like extremely quickly in that second game there is.
This is what we've come to expect, though. Ira also mentioned it, going from the first game to that second game, we're going to see the teams really pushing those limits. They're going to be picking up the pace because they know that they have an opportunity to get some eliminations. As the disparity in terms of points, happen from those top 4 to the rest of the lobbies, the top 4 teams, they're sitting comfortably. They might be sitting at a little bit of a point gap here, so they have some more comfortability to take those off-spawn fights, or maybe some of the other teams are fighting to get eliminations to desperately catch up. So because of that, you are going to see a little bit more, aggression coming through with teams trying to get eliminations, get rid of the competition. We don't want them here. We want to take the points. We want to take the victory royale. So it's come to be expected. I'm going to wait to see what's going to happen in Game 3.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see what is going to happen in Game 3. And what will also happen after this is we will be announcing a winner for that second giveaway. If you didn't catch it, make sure you just tell us which team you are rooting for. I'm sure after that second game, you might have a few changes in your mind because it's looking hectic out there. And this wouldn't be possible, guys, without incredible Connection All-Star Gaming and, of course, Asus ROG coming here and sponsoring at the event. I mean, the Fortnite All-Stars competition is bringing competition from, well, that's just a mouthful to say, is bringing players from everywhere from South Africa here to compete at this high caliber, and it's all thanks to Incredible Connection and Asus ROG. And of course, guys, if you want to go check out Incredible Connection over on their online store and their 70 nationwide stores as well. If you like to be physical, I like to be physical in store, feeling out the peripherals before I buy them. Um, Definitely, it's going to be a good one if you go to those stores